ReZero, once again, back at it again with quality work. Quality character development, quality characterization, beautiful visuals with the transitions from the past to the present. Just this episode, I had to rewatch it like 3 to 4 times. I'm not even joking. I rewatched this episode 3 to 4 times. That's how good it was. Because some of the scenes in this episode correlate with the earlier portions of ReZero, and also with so much meaning going on with some of these characters, like Subaru and Rim's scene, to the Wilhelm and his wife scene, to Crucian, also seeing Subaru having the conversation, just all these individual scenes throughout this entire episode. It had so much weight to it, so much that's been built up, and it continues to build up by the episode, and even with the finale of this episode, of seeing Subaru show this rage, this agitation on his face, it goes along once again with what makes this series so good. So, let's talk about the entirety of it. Let's just talk about Wilhelm first. So, Wilhelm, we find out that he did not, in fact, die. It is officially confirmed now, even though the well is now dead. It's officially confirmed if you're to be swallowed by the well, that is not how you disappear. So it is, in fact, indeed, the fog that causes someone to disappear. Now, Subaru already said this in last week's episode. Granted, we know that. But it wasn't 100% confirmed because, he was just guessing. And with Wilhelm now not having his existence erased by being swallowed or supposedly might be killed by the well, this lets us know that the only way to have your existence completely erased by the well would be because of the fog. So Wilhelm surviving, it made me happy to see how his character's still around. And with the way he came back into this episode, the weight of his character and the meaning behind it, it was just absolutely fabulous. I honestly have to say, it's very hard to say what is my favorite scene of this episode. Like, I'm putting it between the Rim and Subaru scene at the end of the episode, and then the Wilhelm, saying I love you to his wife. Those two scenes, I gotta say, they're on par. They're on par for their different reasons, and as you all know, you know how much of a fan I am of Rim, how much I love her as a character, you know how much I feel about Subaru's development and how much he has changed as well. I made this very clear in my recent videos of ReZero, but when I'm sitting here telling you all that it's very hard to choose which I liked better, did I like the Wilhelm and his wife scene, or did I like the scene with Rim and Subaru, it just goes to show you how good this episode was, because to be honest with you, it wasn't just the Rim and Subaru scene I was rewatching over and over, it was also that Wilhelm scene, and I have to say, in terms of the way it was presented in the episode, I think honestly, visually speaking, that was probably my favorite part of the episode, because the way you had this transition back between Wilhelm and then his wife, and then the well again, back and forth to the present and the past, it was something you don't normally see in anime standards, because it's hard to do, it's a lot of drawing and artwork, and a lot of, I guess time you'd have to put into an individual episode, and the way Whitehouse went that extra effort to do something like that, to add these flashes back and forth, to where Wilhelm is just saying something to the well and all that, and when he's talking about his wife, and when you see the flashback where he's fighting his wife, and then it flashes back to the well as he's cutting the well up, and you hear this music in the background, you see the petals of the flowers just moving in the scenes, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's visually stunning, and I had to say, out of all the scenes in this episode, I think that was the best when it came to the actual production of the visuals and stuff, because of the way the scene was done. And when you see that final declaration, how it was built up, with how he finally said, I love you to his wife, he just yells it out after he's standing on top of the carcass of the well, it was just such an emotional scene. It was a heartfelt scene, and I had to grab my heart, and I'll be honest here, I'll be straight up honest with all of you, I got tears in my eyes, I did, I'll admit it, yes, I cried like a little bitch in that scene, because I'm like, yo, it's so just emotional, just seeing this man that I thought was a side character, like a badass old man, even last week, and then all of a sudden this man just laying his heart on the table for us, and I'm getting to feel his emotions. I'm like, damn, how can ReZero do this? How can it write characters so good? I mean, Wilhelm hasn't been a very central character for long, only maybe for a couple of episodes, and just to see how much I care about him as a character in just these little few episodes that we've gotten of him having kind of the spotlight. Like, last week's episode was like one of the main episodes he got a spotlight in, and just to see how much we actually can care for him now, it just goes to show you the writing, how good the writing of ReZero is. And I mean, even though normally if I was to watch a scene like this, like in any other anime, or read it in a manga or any type of literature, a character surviving something like that, I'd be kind of pissed. I'll be honest with you, I'd be kind of pissed. But it's thanks to the writing that makes it work so well and mesh to where I'm not pissed off to why some of these characters might survive. For instance, Wilhelm surviving, it just makes sense. It was built up in a way that makes sense. It didn't come out of nowhere. So I like the way the writer does his series. It's something that really needs to be praised. It's not just Rim's character or Subaru's character that just has such great quality writing, but these other little individual characters, these minor side characters, all that throughout the series that have just so much build-up background information that really is like the founding blocks or the pillars of the series and what supports it behind the scenes, and many take it for granted. Like, for instance, Rim as a character. I mean, when we first started the series, let's just be fucking straight up honest with each other, okay? To be honest, I wasn't a Rim fan when the series first started. I mean, I liked her, entire design and all that, but I thought it was going to be the standard maids and shit. That's exactly how I thought of Rim and Rom. That's exactly how I thought they were going to be. I'll be honest. I'll admit it right here, right now. Yes, Rim is my favorite female character now, but I'm just saying, though, when the series first began, did we ever expect the development of what we got with these certain characters? And just to see how the writing can do that with some of these characters, it just blows me away. It really does. Like Crush, for instance. Like, honestly, I wasn't a big fan of her as well. When she was first introduced, I liked her design, obviously, but I mean, just overall, I wasn't a big fan of her, the way her personality was kind of presented, and the way she was kind of, letting the entire village just rot and go to hell and get killed off. I wasn't a big fan of that, but now seeing the reasons, seeing both sides of the characters, of why they were doing certain things in those previous episodes, it makes so much more sense, and it couldn't have been done without the very skilled writing of the main writer of ReZero, and also the production team in White House for really doing some great work with the series and the way they kind of throw in the symbolism, this foreshadowing and all that. It's just something that needs to be praised, and I feel like it just does not get praised enough, and it's something that really everybody just needs to take a moment to realize that this is something you don't normally see. But anyways, getting off of that though, let's talk about the scene with how Subaru shows his development. Now, we already seen an episode where he confronted his problems, his issues, and how he's taken steps to change himself for the better. We've seen it in episode like 18 and all that. We've seen it in the previous episodes of how he's just tried to change himself for the better, and he's tried to make himself to where he is not just a selfish, greedy asshole. He's trying to be a better person, and that was the entire point of the Rim and Subaru scene a while back. And we know that he has taken very good steps to try to confront the problems he's been facing, and we've seen that. We've seen this good development of him, of how he's confronted his flaws in his character. And in this episode, you see how these flaws that he's confronted, he's actually been able to kind of overcome them, and also he hasn't completely suppressed them. There's two sides of the same coin, which I'll get into. The first thing, let's talk about what the stuff he's overcome. If you go back to the first episode, literally, just go back to the first episode or whatever, just start the series again, read the first, chapter of the light novel, it doesn't matter. Just go back to the beginning of ReZero and look for yourself. If you go back, you have it to where Subaru, as a character, he wanted to be a hero. He wants to be a hero, and he thinks he is the main character in the series, which he is. We know he is. But still, the point is that he believes everybody should view him as the hero for anything he does. That's kind of how he was as a character. Go back to the first episode, you see the way he acts. He acted like he was a traditional MC in a fantasy world. And now looking at in this episode, after the fight with the White Well, how it was brought down, after Crush confronts him, it's like, it's thanks to you. It's thanks to you why we all managed to do this. You are the hero that, took down the White Well. And, Subaru, he was absolutely shocked. Like, he didn't understand how to take it. He was like, holy shit. He's like, no, I couldn't have done this without all of you. He literally was just saying, no, I'm not the hero here. I'm not the only one that did anything. He was straight up saying, it's thanks to all of you. I'm no hero. And he was giving up that title. And I mean, if we go back to the earlier Subaru, like in the beginning of the series, that man straight up, he would have been greedy, selfish, and he would have took that title right there and he'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm the hero. All bow down before me. That'd be the kind of, character he would be if he didn't confront his problems. So seeing this and and how he has changed, and how he doesn't just automatically become selfish or greedy and take this title and say, yes, I'm a hero and all that. It just shows you how much he has developed. So I love the way that scene was done to show that he's not getting a big head. He doesn't believe that he did everything by himself. He now knows he needs others. He needs help. He can't do everything by himself. He's a weak individual that can't do anything and needs the help of others. And if there is one thing that this arc really did and showcased to all of us as readers or watchers of the series, regardless of however you saw this content, we can at the very least see one thing that Subaru has that not many people have. And that would be a leader. He is definitely leader material. Now, I'm not saying as a leader that could charge on the battlefield like Crush and just go kick ass, do range DPS, just destroy things. I'm not saying he's that type of character. I'm saying as a character that's very intelligent, can come up with strategies and tactics to be able to win and overcome different situations. Because if there's one thing he showed throughout the entirety of this battle, is that he constantly kept a high state of morale amongst everyone. He was constantly excited, he was yelling, screaming, and it was pretty much showcasing that he didn't have his morale down. He had all this emotions, all that. He was ready to go. He wasn't stopping. He wasn't backing down to fear or despair. And then he was keeping all the men around him up in high spirits. That's kind of what Subaru was doing, and that's what a leader should do. Raise the morale of his troops. If his troops have a high morale, they can actually do a lot better in combat. And so seeing some of the things that Subaru has done in these episodes showcases his leader potential, how he is a leader material. He can be a leader if he goes down this route. I really hope that the writer of the series does go down that route, because Subaru, he doesn't have a power, he's not physically strong, he can't really do much, and I mean, honestly, he's kind of probably shit at politics. I mean, the only reason why he was really good at politics in the previous episodes was because he already knew what to expect. He kind of took it from a different angle, he kind of knew what they were going to say, and when he looked at it. But not all politics are going to be like that. Subaru can't always kill himself to figure out what they want and then reset it and then, do what they want. He has to tackle it from a different perspective. So he has a lot to learn, obviously, instead of always relying on maybe his resets. But to see how he showed some of this potential, this might be a direction his character can go in the future, and I do hope it is used and it's not thrown on to the side and it's never seen again, because he does have a lot of potential. Now, besides that, let's talk about the scene with Rim and Subaru. The Rim and Subaru scenes. Oh my god. Like, oh, man, dude. Like, let's just say, as I've said many times, Rim is my favorite female character. Probably by far my favorite character in ReZero, just because of some of the things she has done for Subaru, how far she has gone. But, I mean, Subaru, I commend him. As a character, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant character. But Rim has done so much. She sacrificed so much for him. I mean, he sacrificed stuff too. But the way she constantly acts, the way she does these certain type of emotions throughout the episode, the way she goes along her way to do anything for Subaru, the way she just throws her heart on the table and lets, Subaru know how she truly feels, you could see this development she has gotten. I mean, in the past, Rim was a character that wouldn't really let you know what she's thinking. She was a character that was very quiet. Like, she didn't want to reveal everything. She didn't want to, relay her true self to anyone. She didn't want to say anything to others. And to see how she's opened up, she's able to say what she wants on her mind at any given moment to Subaru, it goes to show you how close they are as friends. And when you see that scene and when they're talking, and you see it to where Rim can't go with Subaru to go help out Amelia and all them, it's a sad scene, but also the way it was done was just so beautiful. And she's crying, and he's holding her and all that, and then she's like, you're my hero, you're the greatest hero ever. I'm like, yo, it's so sweet. I was like, yo, I'm getting emotional, my boys, getting so emotional, because that shit is just so good. Because, as you know, Rim, she was a bad character. She would have ran off. I'm getting tears in my eyes. She would have ran off, okay? She would have ran off with Subaru at that time at episode 18, but she didn't. She gave it up and all that. And just to see how she continues to care for him, the way she said that stuff, and the way he hugged her, and then he pressed his forehead against her, I'm like, yo, this is so cute. It's so cute. And when you just see that pan out, and you just see the background with the sunrise, and you just see Subaru and Rim on the bottom left, it was just so cute. It's so cute. It's so fucking cute. It was so cute. Oh, and then you have the other scenes in the episode, like you have the scenes to where it's like the only one that could sniff Subaru is me, and then eventually you get to see to where that continues, and she grabs Subaru through the air and pulls him down, and then he falls into her chest, which, oh my god, that fan service. Yes, 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 and more Rim fan service, please. I mean, it's a rarity, but more Rim fan service, please, 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 White House, just, come on, I don't care even if you give me a Hot Spring episode, Rim fan service, please, give it to me. Anyways, after that, she's like, thank you for the treat. That pretty much meant that she was getting to sniff Subaru because, you know, he had the witch's scent come off of him. So, like, she was saying to the well, like, I'm the only one that could sniff him and smell him. And then when she pulled him down after he, you know, did the return by death type scene where he was trying to tell the well, you know, the different things of how he killed Rim smelled him, and was like, thank you for the treat. So that's kind of what the scene meant. I love that. It's a very cute scene, and I love the way Rim did that. And if you looked very closely at that scene when she said that, if you look at the ground dragon, you see to where the ground dragon, I posted on my Twitter, by the way, if you look at the ground dragon, the eye, like, the fucking ground dragon is giving the stink eye to Rim, like, just straight up looking at Rim like, fuck you, like, why you do that, bringing him into your chest, I'm like, fuck you. It's fucking great. It was such a good scene, just to see the way that was done and all that, so, once again, another cute scene. Now, speaking of the ground dragon, there is one thing I need to talk about, and I highly doubt many are gonna really notice this, and maybe I'm looking too into it, it's a possibility, but still, it's just something to take note of, and I think the studio, the writers and stuff, of ReZero, they actually did state if you're to rewatch the episodes over and over, you'll notice things that you didn't notice the first time around, and I noticed it around my second time of watching, that when it came to the ground dragon that Subaru was riding when Rim wasn't on at the time, and even when Rim did get on, you had it to where the ground dragon was jerking really fast. Like, there was one scene to where Subaru almost fell completely off the ground dragon, and he's like, willpower and all that, trying to pull himself back up. The ground dragon was just jerking all around, going completely fast, and just doing all sorts of things to get away from the well. It goes to show you that, you know, the ground dragon, incredibly fast, like, really, really fast, and also, as we know, the ground dragon that Subaru, has right now is very prideful, and for some reason, you know, the ground dragon actually likes him, probably because he's related to the Sin of Pride. But regardless of that, though, to see the way the dragon was like jerking him around, I wonder exactly what that meant. Did the dragon know that Subaru would be able to kind of stay on and trusted and had faith in him? Or was the ground dragon prioritizing its own life like any normal creature would? I'm very curious about that because the way it was acting was just very strange. The way it was pulling him around and the way he had to pull himself back up. But regardless, though, compliments to the ground dragon for constantly being able to move without Subaru really telling it what direction to go. It was actually controlling itself while it was running, which I don't think anyone really noticed. I mean, when it came to the actual fight, the ground dragon was the one doing the running. It wasn't really Subaru controlling it, actually, at that scene. It was the one running away from the White Well. So, pretty cool when you take a moment to think about that, how great the ground dragon, how much of a role it played in this entire episode, but it was behind the scenes, not many probably would have noticed it. Now, other things I need to talk about, let's see, I talked about the Wilhelm scene with his wife, I've talked about how he wants to help out Subaru, I haven't talked about, okay, so, Wilhelm, he offers to help out Subaru, he's like, here, I'll offer my sword up to you, and that entire scene, oh, when Subaru's like, I couldn't have done this without you, like, you're the entire reason why we have the strength to take down the well, and he's like, it's thanks to your crazy love for your wife, and then you just see Wilhelm raise his head, and he's like, thank you. That was so good. That was such a good scene, too. Oh, I hope this isn't the final time we see Wilhelm in the series as a critical point, a critical character, because the way he acted, oh my, he's such a good character. He needs more spotlight, definitely. Now, speaking of that exact same scene, there was something I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about Crush and, Subaru's scene. Crush actually states to Subaru that no matter what happens in the future, like for instance, if we ever become enemies, like if we, for some reason, let's just say we're in a war, and we have our blades pointed at each other, I promise you right now, I will never do anything unhanded, for instance, something dirty, shady, behind the scenes, to win against you. I will fight you fairly, I'll fight you with honor, and I'll repay the debt. The way she said that was such a great scene, just to show how much Crush has grown respect for Subaru as a character, and how much Crush actually cares for him. And also the way Crush actually denied Subaru, like saying, like, no, just because my heart skipped a few times while seeing some of your actions in this episode, doesn't mean that I've fallen for you as a woman. I have my own goals, and my heart's out for my own goal for the future. So to see how she didn't fall for him, I'm very happy, because normally in a harem type series or any series like this, any light novel series, usually the character would fall for Subaru. It just point blank. Just be honest here. Yes, someone like Crush would easily fall for Subaru. If this was any other light novel, any other anime, she would be head over heels for him, and then we would have another girl added to the harem. And once again, ReZero passively shitting on generic light novels. Once again, shitting on like fucking generic light novels passively. So good job, ReZero, for doing that once again. Now, speaking of passively shitting on generic light novels, Subaru's character development. I mentioned it earlier on of how he showed two sides of the same coin. He showed development, and also he showed sides to where he hasn't gotten over some of his problems. Julius, at the end of the episode, he has appeared. And the face we see Subaru make is a face we haven't seen, actually, in the past couple episodes. He shows a face of utter rage, anger, and madness, like someone that straight up wants to cut a bitch. That's exactly the way Subaru looked in his face, the way his eyes were at the end of the episode. And if you all remember, the reason why Subaru does not like this man is because, in some way, the way you can view it, is that it's thanks to him, the why Emilia and him had their disagreement. Now, obviously, it was Subaru's fault, and if you look at it from a different perspective, Julius was actually trying to save Subaru and actually just beating him like he was doing, just of where, you know, Subaru wouldn't get killed by the other knights that got disrespected. So Julius actually did a favor, did kindness to Subaru, and didn't put him down and kill him or whatever. He just beat him up a little bit for the knights to be satisfied and when they wouldn't kick his ass. So Subaru doesn't see it like that, obviously, but Julius was trying to be a good man, trying to be a kind-hearted man, and was trying to help him. Subaru doesn't realize that. All he sees is this anger and rage he has towards this man that beat the shit out of him and caused this spiral, this big trauma that he got throughout those episodes. And I'm so glad that Subaru did not give up that rage. Now, hear me out. As I've said, I'm loving the development of Subaru. I'm loving how he's changing. I'm loving how he's confronting these flaws. But let's be real. Once again, anyone that's experienced trauma, hatred, any of these problems of self-reflection, anything, you're not going to get over those problems in a day. You won't. You won't. It's been a couple of days, maybe 3 to 4 days, or regardless, just days, okay, since he's confronted these problems. You will not get over your issues and your problems with your own self in a day. It's not going to happen. It won't happen. Realistically, it will not happen at all. So Subaru still being angry at this man, Julius, and having this hatred, this selfish hatred inside of him, it's realistic, and it makes me love Subaru's character so much more, because the hatred he feels should not be gone. Regardless of how we view the situation, regardless if Julius was in the right, Subaru should not be able to throw aside his anger that easy. If you was to see Beetlejuice pop up in front of him, you're not going to tell him he's going to throw aside his anger and hatred and get rid of his hate in his eyes and this malice to where he wants to kill this person. He's not going to get rid of that. No, it's just not happening. You won't. So Subaru showing this hatred shows that he still has problems to work out. He still has things he has to overcome, and it's not going to happen instantly. It's something he has to work through. And seeing how this just wasn't casted aside, he didn't instantly forgive him when he saw him, it makes me satisfied. It makes me know that the writer is taking it at a realistic approach, not just easily making Subaru and Julius become friends again. No, that's not happening. You're going to have this confrontation, they're going to have their little spat or something, we're going to have to see Subaru maybe try to overcome this, and maybe he might ruin everything. Who knows? He might ruin everything and fuck everything up, and then he might have to reset. Who the hell knows? Just the point stands is that the way this was done was tasteful, and it didn't feel unrealistic. Because if Subaru would have just said, fuck it, I forgive him and all that, I honestly would have been kind of pissed off. I would have, because it wouldn't fit the writing style of what ReZero has done so far. So that's about it. I mean, the episode overall, it was a glorious episode. The white well is down, the tree was cut down, the big old tree cut down. Well dead as fuck. Well was, in fact, using copies, which split up its strength, and so it's dead. And then you have it to where Satila once again reappeared in this episode, which, oh yeah, that's actually something I want to talk about before I end this video. So, Satila pops up, and as we all know with last week's episode, Satila was speaking, and then Subaru, you know, he heard something, or at the very least he felt it or whatever, but someone was behind him, and then disappeared and all that. And as we've seen throughout previous encounters, when Subaru tries to say something about his curse, the hands always pop out, and they usually either caress his heart or they squeeze it to where he's about to die. And in this episode, the way his heart got grabbed, like the big crunch sound, the way you heard it, it sounded a hell of a lot more violent than previous instances. Like, go to last week's episode, or go to the other episodes, or whatever, the way the heart sound was, it sounded more violent than it was. And this worries me a bit. It really worries me that every time Subaru tries to say something, it might get worse. And I talked about this in last week's episode. And, you know, I'm actually planning on making a video on this entire topic. I have an entire video and something I want to discuss about Satala, this curse, and stuff like that. But for now, though, the way it was done, it was something very strange, because you saw, once again, Sato was trying to say something, and I couldn't honestly make it out this time. Like, I know last week, it was something of saying, like, Daisuke or something. I knew it had to be something with I love you. But when you see this face in this episode, you can't really make it out. It's from the side, and you can't make out exactly what Sato is actually saying to Subaru, so you don't know. I mean, all we know is she could be saying, like, I love you again, or maybe I hate you. I have no idea, but the way it was done, we can't really see. But there was something going on there, and the way Subaru's heart got grabbed, it was different, entirely different from last week's episode. And oh yeah, this actually brings something up. So, Subaru said something to the White Well, like, you killed Rim, and you made me go through this trauma. But Subaru didn't die. He didn't die. But also, the well didn't die. That's strange. That's strange. Like, I mean, think about this. Look what happened to Amelia when he tried to say something to her. She died. She straight up died, had her heart crushed. She dead as fuck. But the well didn't. Granted, you could say that the well couldn't pick up what Subaru was saying, thanks to him falling so fast down towards the ground. So that's a possibility why the well might not have died. But this raises a lot of questions, because one of the things that I saw many Chibits talking about in the comments on the time to when we found out what happened to Amelia, when Subaru tried to reveal his curse to Amelia, he was willing to just give up his life. We saw Amelia die. And I saw many commenting and saying, like, why doesn't Subaru just go talk to Beetlejuice and just tell him about his, you know, return by death and then kill Beetlejuice or kill everybody? Like, why doesn't he do that? And now seeing this, it raises many questions. Like, does this mean that it can't work on people that Subaru wants to kill? I mean, is that how the curse works? Like, maybe Subaru wanted to, or maybe he wasn't thinking about it at that time, but what if he was actually trying to kill the well with the curse, but the curse didn't kill the well? So what does that mean? Does it mean that something like the well isn't affected by the curse? Does it mean that if Subaru wants to kill someone with this curse, they won't be killed? And why did his heart get grabbed a lot harder, but he didn't die if the curse didn't affect someone else? See, the curse right now, it raises a lot of questions. You're like, okay, so how does this work now? We know that when he tried to say something to Amelia, she just fucking died instantly. She instantly died, but the heart, you know, just rubbed, like, or the hand rubbed Subaru's heart. And because of that, you're like, okay, so what does this mean? For him to straight up say to the well, like, you killed Rim, and when you caused me to go through this trauma, but the well is fine, and then Subaru has his heart, like, almost crushed, but he was fine. It raises questions. So how does it work then? So does it only affect people that Subaru wants to care about, or, you know, confide in, or what? So, like I said, there needs to be a lot of explanations for this, but that's one question that this episode brought up. So that's about it. I mean, very good episode. Can't wait to see where it goes after this. My favorite episode. Yes, I know. I say it all the time. I say it all the time. I know. Many already pointed out, but God, it's so good. It's so good. How can you not like an episode more, like a lot more than the previous? They get better and better as they go on. So yeah, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.